actually knows CowSwap? Okay, nice. Good, good. Then I don't have to go too much into detail. Yeah, I'm going to talk about CowSwap today. Primarily where we're at, and also a little snapshot into where we are heading. DeFi is fragmented. This doesn't come as a surprise. This has actually been the case for a long time, was already the case in 2021, which is when CowSwap initially launched. Why is fragmentation bad? This ultimately means that a lot of the liquidity, instead of being in one single pool, is located across a lot of different pools, and that causes worse prices because the lower the liquidity in a pool, the higher the slippage that you pay in order to trade against it. And the only way you can circumvent it is basically by splitting up your trade into multiple transactions, executing against different pools, which is quite cumbersome and causes a lot of user friction and bad experience. It's overall bad because it means that capital is inefficiently used, and it also creates a lot of arbitrage opportunities, because if you don't perfectly switch and break up the trade across multiple different pools, then there's actually arbitrage opportunities because different pools will have different prices. This is value that gets extracted that should, in theory, belong to the user, but then is being extracted by third-party sophisticated math bots. And this is where CowSwap's prime innovation lies. We were the first intent-based DEX to market. Essentially, on Cow, a user doesn't commit to the direct final execution route, but instead they just sign an intent and say, this is the price that I want to, the token I want to sell, the token I want to receive, and the limit price I'm willing to receive. And then we have a competition of third parties that we call solvers, who then basically run algorithms to check how they can actually break up the trade into different chunks and find the best possible underlying liquidity for you to improve prices. There is another core innovation of it, which is that we are the only DEX that actually is able to tap not only into on-chain liquidity, not only into market maker liquidity, but there's one more very important liquidity pool that nobody else is tapping into, which is the liquidity of all the other traders. So on a TradFi system, essentially, this would be an order book model, right? Like you have so many other users who also want to trade, but no other DEX is tapping into that liquidity. Cow is the only one who does it by batching different orders together and basically enabling solvers to match. If you want to trade DAI for USDC, someone else wants to trade USDC for GNO, someone else GNO for Cow, someone else Cow for USDC, they can all be matched together. And yeah, ultimately, why is that important? Why do you care? You care because you get better prices. And there's a lot of independent research actually that shows that Cow is providing better prices than any of its competition. And for example, on the graph on the left, you can see the top 10 traded token pairs on DeFi Llama. For those who don't know, DeFi Llama is an aggregator of aggregators. It will always show you the best route. And for all top 10 token pairs, Cow consistently processes the majority of volume, which means that it's providing the best price, hence all the volume is forwarded to Cow. There's also been independent research by some people from Flashbots, and they also found out that on average, Cow is offering between 10 to 150 bips better prices than the second best leading intent protocol. And this means on a $1 billion trading volume, users get on average between $1 to $15 million more. This is great for you, and this is also great for institutions who are considering who they want to partner up with, because more money essentially means that they can make more fees, they can earn more, whilst providing very competitive market rates. Since February, Cow has obtained market share. Cow is the largest DEX aggregator on Ethereum, and still the second largest if you look across all networks we are deployed in. The reason that we are, if you look at all networks across, only second best is that we are not yet on Binance Smart Chain. and hence missing out on a lot of volume. But as of today, we will be launching there. This is actually spoiler alert, it's not announced yet, but this afternoon, European business hours, Cow will deploy on Binance. And yeah, we also have the best retention across all DEXs, which shows that Cow has very strong stickiness amongst its users. When we talk about our volume, we always like to differentiate where the flow is coming from. So there's two important segments. One is the B2C user, the one that directly uses CowSwap, the UI. And there we actually have a graph that looks at what volume is processed via CowSwap, the UI, versus 1inch UI, Uniswap UI, etc. And CowSwap there has over 33% market share, which again proves that the stickiness amongst our user base who directly interacts with us, through us, is very strong. Then if you look at our volume being broken down between B2C versus B2B, only 12%, or no, 16, only 16% of our volume is coming through integrations. So one way to look at it, it's great that the majority of our volume is highly sticky because there's not a single provider who can just decide tomorrow to switch up, integrate someone else, and our volume would be gone. Our end users are obviously very sticky. The other way to look at it is to say, okay, there's still a huge room of improvement. There's still so much growth potential by just integrating a few more partners. And this is what we have been focused on this year. We have done major efforts to focus on partnering up with two different types of partners. One is DeFi native protocols. We are actually now collaborating with a lot of lending protocols. We are also collaborating with the #1 lending protocol on Ethereum to go live soon. And that will also boost our volumes by an additional 20%. And yeah, we have done a few things also to work together with any type of protocol that requires liquidations on the DeFi native side. And then on the TradFi side, obviously, I think we are all aware at this point that there's a lot of institutions, a lot of CEXs, wallets, as well as consumer applications, you've heard Revolut, etc. before. They are all moving into DeFi and they're looking for an on-chain native DeFi partner. And that's where a huge of growth potential lies and also where we have made a lot of progress this year. Most of them are still under NDA, so I can't disclose too much, but essentially, yeah, it's a bunch of reasons why they partner up with us. I mean, primarily, of course, it's because we offer better prices. It's also, I think, we have proven ourselves as a very innovative team that can collaborate also on bringing new features that are not yet existent on any other competitor application live to the market. And as I mentioned before, we are also now bringing Cow to a lot more networks. This was highly requested. I think this was our prime growth stopper before, is that we were primarily on Ethereum and Gnosis chain. And we have done a big effort, a big push to now bring Cow to Arbitrum, Base, Avalanche, Polygon. Today we're launching on Binance. Soon we're also launching on Solana, actually. And thus expanding. And that brings me back to the point of fragmented liquidity. Because now if you think about liquidity being fragmented, already harming prices on a single chain, think of this problem being significantly accelerated if you now have all these different dozens new networks, layer 1s, layer 2s that are exploding everywhere, that are further separating liquidity because now protocols shift some of the liquidity on those networks. So that accelerates the problems that we have and now means that there's cross-chain arbitrage opportunities. Basically, you can have one single protocol that gives you one price on Ethereum, but it gives you an entirely different price for the same asset on a different protocol. And yeah, that's a problem because, again, it leads to worse prices for users. It makes it much more complex for users to now find the best possible liquidity route. And it also adds risks because now if users want to bridge over to a different protocol, they have to also approve different bridges, which all have their own security assumptions. And as we know, some of them have been hacked in the past. And yeah, it's additional risk that your funds might get lost. Yeah, and this is why Cow has now expanded from being a simple liquidity aggregator to also being a liquidity cross-chain aggregator. Now, when you try it on Cow, you can get best prices, but also get the best bridging execution. So we have integrated Li-Fi, socket across. We're currently working with near intents and with kinetics and a few more, and are aggregating all these bridges. By this, users automatically get the best price, the best bridge execution, because we have an auto selection program that we choose based on the user's preference, which bridge has the best liquidity, the best price, and is the fastest, and automatically execute the transaction on behalf of the user in a single click. And another huge advantage of that is also, I mentioned risk before, that if you do swap and bridge via Cow protocol, you are not approving any underlying bridges, but the protocol is doing it on your behalf, so your user funds are never at risk. This is solving a lot of the current problems, but we are taking it one step further. We are bringing the true CowSwap experience cross-chain, the true batching experience. Think of, you want to do a trade, a large trade, and buy Solana, but you are having liquidity on Ethereum. And now there is another user who's actually on Solana who wants to buy ETH. Today, all these different transactions are being individually executed, and again, creating all these arbitrage problems, all this inefficiency. And with Cow protocol, we are currently building a one auction that will combine liquidity across all different networks, whether EVM-based or not, and allow users to tap into liquidity across all different networks. So their trade can be split up and be executed against liquidity from multiple different underlying networks. Maybe 10% of your trade will be executed on Arbitrum, 50 on Base, and the other 40 on Binance. And all this is abstracted away for the user. And it additionally allows to tap into liquidity of other users that trade on other networks, hence creating additional efficiencies. So if you saw the price improvements Cow is currently creating on Ethereum alone and other networks it's on, they're going to be accelerated by now allowing Cow cross-chain. And the efficiencies cross-chain are even larger because you actually have most of the liquidity that's currently being bridged is stablecoins and native assets. So the opportunity is huge because what you need for a batch to be very efficient is a lot of centered liquidity. Ideally, the efficiency is higher the more centered liquidity you have around a few assets. And yeah, this is how Cow is going to bring cross-chain, not even, but basically accelerating cross-chain to cross-chain as you know it today, to cross-chain that will actually provide efficiencies that make DeFi and that makes TradFi and CeFi move over to DeFi.
Thank you, Anna.